Welcome to the New Dentist Study Club podcast. My name is Dr. Sanj Mohanta. We're going to learn about clinical management, practice management, and the emotional management of dentistry. Let's learn how to be happier in dentistry. Let's go. Thank you to our sponsors, Ultim Dental Lab Group and RDT Dental Lab in Toronto. Welcome to the pod. We have a very special podcast because it is a podcast takeover where we have Jesse, a dental student at McGill. He's going to be the host today. So welcome, Jesse.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Welcome to both of you. You know, I'm kind of welcoming you ironically on your own podcast, but this is fantastic.
And we also have another special guest, Dr. Nekky Jamal. Hey,
What's
Nekky, thanks for being on the pod.
Yeah, I'm pumped. This is awesome. The podcast takeover.
So before Jesse takes it over, I'm going to do short introductions. So Dr. Nekky Jamal is a general dentist. He practices in Lloydminster, Alberta. He graduated from the University of Saskatchewan about 15 years ago, I guess.
Yep.
He has a large practice and he focuses on IV sedation, oral surgery, implants, PRF. He speaks across North America. He is a great friend of mine. And what I love most about Nekky is all the volunteer stuff he does. He has been on dozens of dental mission outreach trips, but not only that, he gives so much locally, coaching basketball, helping out his community, all the fundraising things you do. I still remember you gave me like a jar of honey from like a fundraising at your local school. You really
that was
lift
awesome.
Your community.
I remember I bought 200 jars of honey to help support the school. And I was eating honey. I was eating like tablespoons for breakfast. And then I'm like, I don't think this is so good.
It is delicious. So thank you, Nekky. And then we have Jesse. Jesse Ibanez is a second-year dental school at McGill University in Montreal. He has his sights set on being an oral and maxillofacial surgeon. And Jesse, you do so much for your school. I love how you volunteer with the Teddy Bear Hospital, like teaching kids how to brush and floss, how you raise money for the McGill Mobile Dental Outreach Clinic that you volunteer with. And I love your idea of how you raise money doing like scrub headshots.
Thank you.
And you're a
fun
great
one.
leader, not only of your school, but in the dental community. So welcome, Jesse. And I'm looking forward to you being the host today.
As am I. Yeah, that means a lot coming from you. Thank you so much. It's very cool. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. Awesome. Well, let's do this. It's not very often that we get to flip the script, so this is a really cool invitation. But with the time we have, I mean, I know a lot of people know a lot about both of you. You're both known, especially like in your respective communities, for pretty niche things within the field of dentistry. But I kind of wanted to just, start right off with why, and this is super, super cliche, but why did you want to pursue this in the first place? What set you in motion for this, and who was involved mentor-wise?
Nekky, I'll let you go first.
To set what up? What do you mean?
Your path.
Your career, like what?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for example, can you chalk your decision to become a dentist up to one person, to 5 people, to one group of people? Was it all you? People have varying answers on that. I want to hear
No, it definitely wasn't all me. Man, my dad, he was awesome. He when I had a gap so wide you could drive a truck through it, my dad got me braces, showed me the power of dentistry. I would say that's that was huge right there. He took out a loan to get me some braces. That was awesome, back in the day. And then in dental school, man, I just remember seeing, man, I don't know. I always thought it was so cool that you can do something in dentistry with your hands, but I always thought my hands were too big. So I went to my dentist and I was like, man, I want to be a dentist, but my hands are too big. And then he put up his hands and it was like twice the size of mine. I was like, holy shit, I've never met anyone with hands bigger than me. And so, that was like the permission I needed to enter the profession. But I don't know, like, the journey, I didn't really have any mentors. And I think that really hindered my growth during my first several years. And like my boss at the time, he didn't give a shit about me. And you know, he would let me fail on extractions just to watch me fail. And he would sit in his office, and he wasn't really a great mentor at all. And when I see him at conferences now, it's like I'm the one teaching and he won't come to my lecture. Like, it's just like a weird relationship. So like, you know, you can't
Hmm.
really rely on your boss to be your mentor. And I think I wish I had a mentor. I wish I had Sanj when I was
Oh,
a dental student. Sanj would have been the best mentor ever.
oh,
Yeah,
thanks, Nekky.
she's fantastic in that regard. Yeah. Quickly on that, like, do you think that you were any, I mean, I'm sure you were worse off because you could always be better off theoretically, but like tangibly, do you think that that set you back not having a mentor right off the bat, or was it
Mm.
only, or did you make it by yourself and figure it out? And
I don't know. I wish I had, well, obviously, like, you know, eventually I figured it out.
yeah,
You'll never know exactly like where you could have been. And I'd say the greatest advice I've heard about this all
hmm.
is whenever you make a decision, you choose your regrets. And it's like
Wow,
what that means is like you you obviously there's an opportunity cost to every decision you make, but you don't necessarily know your regrets at that time. And so like, you know, the regrets of going on a vacation is like, you know, you miss work, but then you lose like the mental capacity at the same time, right? And so, or the mental aspect you would have got from going on vacation. But in
yeah.
life, you choose your regrets. And I wish I would have understood that more, and that would have guided my approach to a lot of decisions. Like, you know, should I have worked in this one job? I was originally going to specialize. My profs are like, you know, I'm going to get you in a prosto school. This is what you want to do. And it's kind of ironic now because like I haven't prepped a crown in almost a decade and I don't even know how right now. So yeah, no,
That's funny.
in life, you choose your regrets, and Sanj knows what I'm talking about when it comes to that.
I'm gonna come back to that in a second, but on the specialty talk and to specialized to not and what guided that. But yeah, Dr. Sanj, what was to feed off of that, what was like, you know, your moment where you realized, yeah, this is for me, or was there some person who said something that changed how you saw it, or what was your thing?
You know, the one person who changed the trajectory of my career was my son when he was 4 years old, because I
Whoa,
hated working as an associate. I think he saw it too. So when my kids were 3 and 4, he's like, Mommy, where are you going? And I said, going to work. And he's like, why are you going to work? And I said, to make money. He said, is money more important than us? And
wow.
yeah, so the next day I was like, I need to make a change. If I'm going to leave my kids where I'm their only mother, I have to leave them for someone that needs me more than they do. So that's when I went into public health.
So that's an interesting
That's
way to look
amazing.
at it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. So the difference in time and how you were, like, how much time you put into it stayed the same. It's just who you
Yeah,
saw was the more dire
exactly.
patients.
It's
Wow.
true. So then when they said, Mommy, where are you going? I need to help people because I can't get help anywhere else.
Hmm. That's fantastic. Oh, so
Yeah.
why have you because that was a while ago, I imagine, right? When your son was
Yeah. So
four.
that was,
What's
yeah, my
kept you in
son's
that?
now 19. Sorry, my daughter's 19, my son's 21.
Wow. So what's kept you in that so long in the pursuit of, you know, the outreach and the most dire patients, or the patients in most dire need? What's kept you
Yeah,
going
like
in that?
I feel like my purpose is to be the voice for people who don't have one. So not only am I doing public health dentistry, but I'm advocating for them. I'm advocating to improve public dental programs. I advocate them to speak up for themselves and share their own story. I, you know, I write about them. I speak about them. I put them in the spotlight so they're not forgotten.
Hmm.
Did you know Sanj is the reason why we have this Canadian dental plan right now? Jagmeet Singh used to visit Sanj.
Yeah,
Are
he
you
was my
serious?
MPP.
Like,
Yeah, he
yeah,
was my
like
MPP in
this,
Brampton.
whenever people talk, they're like, yeah, I know the dentist that, you know, started this whole process. And I'll hear boos on one side. And then on the other side, I'll get like, man, this is amazing. And honestly, I think Sanj has been the voice of millions of Canadians that don't have access to dental care. And Sanj has been their proponent to feed it into the politicians' ears to do it. And honestly, I think Sanj is a public health hero in this country.
I
Oh,
second
thanks,
that.
Nekky. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Yeah. That's so cool. I had no idea that that was the
Yeah,
connection that
he
you
was my
have,
MPP. I used to go to his office all the time, and I'm saying we need to have a public dental program for adults. We need to get
yeah,
them, make them better. And then when he became national NDP leader, the first thing he started talking about was dental care.
Yeah.
Mhm.
fantastic. So where do you see that going? You don't have to spend that much commenting on that, but
Yeah,
it's been rolling out. Things are looking, more or less unknown. I can't even say good or bad, more just unknowns from what a lot of the dentists have talked about. Hopeful unknowns, perhaps optimistic unknowns. Where do you see it going and rolling out?
yeah. I love the fact that we're talking about dental care, that there's a lot more awareness with the fact that a lot of people can't afford to go to the dentist.
Hmm.
However, it's not a well-designed program. We need to make something that's sustainable. The
Yeah,
providers have to be front and center. They have to have a say in how the programs run, because if we don't have people doing the dental care, then people aren't going to get the help. So we
yeah,
definitely have to, the government has to listen to the public dental associations, the Canadian dental associations, and make a program that's going to work for the dentist, because if it works for the dentist and other dental care providers, it's going to work for the patients.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree with that, and my little knowledge and little expertise that I have, I can absolutely see that that's true. A program that'll choke the profession won't thrive because it
Yeah,
won't have
exactly.
the mechanism through which it can thrive. So very interesting. Um, I want to talk if we're okay to move on for a section. I want to talk about the best part of your jobs. People have a lot to complain about their dentist and about being a dentist. It's a field where, despite of them as much as we try to make it smooth sailing, there's a lot of things that we can nitpick. But I want to hear the absolute best part of your job. It can even be a recurring thing. It doesn't have to be a single moment. Um, and then if you know what that one thing is, was it something you were even aware of as a dental student or before you became a dentist, or did that best part of your job like sneak up on you and surprise you a few years into your career? So, uh, yeah, Nekky, I don't know if you want to take that if you have an answer loaded.
I always have an answer. I yeah, no, man, it's so easy. The best part of my job is seeing the most nervous teenagers that have never had a surgery before, that have never had an IV before. I give them their first IV, they're freaking out, show them that it's not so bad. I take out their wisdom teeth, they're crying when they come in. I get a fist bump on the way out. The post-op phone call is always, that was awesome. That was way better than I thought it was going to be. Thank you so much. And it was like the affirmation that I'm doing what I was meant to do. And I know how cliche that sounds, and every dentist has the same answer, but I don't really focus on what other dentists are doing. That's just what fills my cup is helping those patients. But also the best part of my day is walking into my office every morning, knowing like you don't know what's coming that day, but like
Mm.
Drake is playing on the speakers or whatever rap, and you put your Jordans on, and it's like it's my gym, man. Like
Yeah,
everyone trains for years to be an athlete. I trained for years to be a dentist, and I treat it that way. Like I'm always like, we may not have tapes to review after a game, but there's articles to read, there's courses to take. This is my sport, man. And no matter how corny that sounds, I treat dentistry as my sport. I got to stay in shape to be able to do my job mentally and physically, and to be able to take care of my patients, and the responsibility you have to take care of your staff as well. And so, man, I'm obsessed with dentistry, and I'm so blessed, so blessed that people trust me with their faces.
wow, you couldn't have said that better. I'm sure
Yeah,
that's fantastic. The thing about owning your craft, I mean, we'll talk about that perhaps in a second, but yeah, if you treat it like, you put the music on, put your Jordans on, and you just kind of get to work and you turn it into like a work/art form. Yeah, I can't imagine a more happy start to the day than go into the office where all that happens, right? So
totally.
that's
Yeah.
that's so cool. And I mean, I've seen the videography that you get going. I don't know if you make that yourself or if you outsource, but that's some professional stuff, man. So you
Yeah.
certainly look like an athlete.
Yeah. We have a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
honestly, like my immediate team, we have a staff of 40.
Yeah.
But my immediate team that I work with, my staff of four, like
Yeah.
my receptionist and two assistants, like, man, I trust them with everything. I'm so lucky that they've been with me for years. Like my head assistant, like she's been with me for, I want to say 11 or 12 years now. And it's just amazing to see her kids grow up and to see her come to work every day. And it's like, man, she's my family.
Yeah. That's amazing. Sanj, what's the best part of your day? And was it something that you even thought existed, or did it creep up on you? Or best part of your career, I
Yeah,
guess.
my favorite dental procedure is the baby's first dental visit.
My
And like,
least favorite dental
Yeah,
procedure.
is it?
Oh God.
oh, I love it because you get to like put them in the rocket chair, get them to push the button. And then my friend's like, "What are you talking about? You're not doing anything." And I'm like, "What do you mean you're doing everything?
Mm,
Like you're setting the foundation in like healthy habits, you're educating the parents, you're getting the kid excited to go to the dentist, you're preventing oral disease." Like it always
That's
bothers me on
awesome.
Instagram when I see pictures of people taking teeth out and you see the molars like on the bloody bib. I'm like, the teeth are supposed to stay in the mouth. Like we shouldn't be excited that we're taking them out. Like how
mm,
about if you saw a surgeon taking out a kidney and putting it on Instagram, like, look at this kidney I took out. Like you'd be like, no, that poor patient lost a kidney. So
mm.
yeah, I'm all about prevention. That's why I like working on kids and public health. I love telling a kid she has no cavities and seeing her face blow up and a big smile. That's what I love.
Yeah,
I
that's
love that.
fantastic. That's
Mhm.
fantastic. The prevention aspect. What specifically, if you don't mind me asking, what specific is your favorite part of prevention? Is there like a certain procedure or a certain, fluoride or a certain campaign that you've seen, be the most
Yeah.
useful, or your go-to tool for prevention, or
Yeah.
what's your
Silver
favorite?
diamine fluoride. I use it every single day.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can stop cavity without a drill. It's like, and I'll tell the kids, I'm going to do a magic trick. I'm
Yeah.
going to paint this on your tooth and your cavity is going to stop growing. Yeah. And so it's
Wow.
great. And no pain, no needles. It's quick.
When you word it like that, that's powerful too. Like obviously we know
Yeah.
how silver diamond fluoride works, but that's cool,
Yeah.
you know. Um, how effective is education on the prevention front? Because you do a lot of that, I imagine, and a lot of, primary prevention, we can call it, at the the patient level. Have you had success with that? Is that still something that like we really have to work on as a field, or what would you say?
You know what? There's actually like this pyramid of how effective things are when it comes to community health. And the daily brushing and flossing is actually the least effective.
Mm,
Really? I
And
didn't even know that.
yeah, it's the community programs like community water fluoridation and public dental programs that are the biggest bang for your buck that
hmm.
will positively impact the most amount of people.
Yeah, I believe it.
Because you're taking the compliance out of it because a lot of people don't brush and floss every day, even after you
Hmm.
tell them every 6 months. But if you put fluoride in the water and they have no choice but to drink it, or you have a public dental program that will pay for your next emergency, like that'll provide better health outcomes for the patient.
Absolutely. And they've done so many studies to show that like for 6 cents a person, you can fluoridate the water.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But it's been shown to be one of the top CDC top health public health
Mhm.
achievements in the
Yeah,
last
top
100 years.
10 World
It's
Health
in the top 10.
Organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the problem is it's been weaponized. And it's been
That's true.
weaponized by so many, special interest groups to say it's poison. And of
Yeah.
course, there's so many things. Iodine in your salt is poison at a
Yeah,
certain
yeah,
the certain level. Fluoride is 100% poison at a certain level, but not
yeah,
at the level of that we use
Exactly.
for water fluoridation. But then it
Yeah.
becomes a choice, and it's such a tough political climate to do all these things. And I remember once I was in a course and I was a young dentist. I was maybe like 3 years out, and this dentist, then someone was saying like how amazing fluoride was in toothpaste or something. I don't know, high fluoride
mm,
toothpaste. This dentist jumps out of her chair and starts yelling, "Don't you dare talk about the poison of fluoride and all this type of stuff." And I'm like, man, you're supposed to be on our side. What do you mean you're
Listen,
And
it's
so it's
always
so charged, man. It's so charged.
it's always the 9 out of 10 dentists. There's got to be that one in
I
in
know
the
Exactly.
the
stand
one,
that are just
man. They
messing
don't
around.
want Crest. They don't want Trident,
Yeah,
man. We've
nothing.
lost them. They've
Yeah,
gone to the wolves.
they're just
They
filling the
they
role.
belong to the streets.
But but your daily
That's so
habits
funny.
are really important. They are. So
Yeah.
we keep stressing it. One out of 10 people listen to everything we say, and that makes my day.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, right? So the funnel is something we can't necessarily control all the time, at least at our
Exactly.
level, but you can just increase your scope and how many people you talk to. And like just to add on to that, I always when I was preparing for interviews for dental school, I read up my share on what the debate was, what the talking points were, is it toxic, whatever, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I just kind of referred people who asked me once I got in, and once I became a dental student, and everyone in the family says, "Hey, can you look at my teeth?" Along with that is, "Hey, Merry Christmas, nice to see you. What's the thing about fluoride?" So it always comes up. People ask me,
Yeah.
and I just kind of since preparing for interviews, and I just would refer people to this article that I read. What I applied in 2022, I believe it was, so 2021 in the cycle, and this was from 2020, so almost 10 years prior. I think it was 2013. The city of Windsor did a fantastic ceasing. It was a fantastic case of stopping the fluoridation of water.
Yeah.
Whatever went down, I think it was what, 3 years or something less, and then they reversed it. And I've never seen a municipality switch a policy that quick in emphatic
Yeah.
agreement, just because they saw what the heck was going on as a result. So I'm by no means an expert,
Yeah.
but I was floored
Yes.
by that example, and it was
Same
local.
thing
Yeah.
happened in Calgary for
This,
sure.
yeah,
Yep.
the
Yeah,
city of,
yeah,
yeah, both Windsor and Calgary took the fluoride out. They saw decay rates increase in children, and
that's
they're like,
right.
okay, let's put it back in.
Yeah.
So that's enough for me. I mean, if it was that quick, unless you're gonna chalk it up to like a political pendulum, I don't think
Yeah.
that you can
Yeah.
get the ball moving that fast. It's real. So anyway, I always chalk the difference up to that and refer people to that example. Very cool. Let's talk about, this is a question that you that I had before in my notes here, but if you don't want to talk about it, that is fine. But I'd love to talk about your failures, as weird as that is. You do not have to tell me anything specific about your failures or what the experience was, unless you'd like to, and unless you deem it appropriate. But I'd love to know how you coped with one of your biggest failures. You can also talk in general if you prefer to talk about your coping with failure in general. But I'd love as specific as you'll allow me to hear. Go ahead, either of you.
Nekky, do you want to go first?
Man, I'm really proud of my failures
Mm,
because I feel like my failures help establish who I am. On a downside, they've inhibited my growth a lot too, like mentally. So let's go through the laundry list of failures here. You know, from almost failing my first class two as a dentist, to graduating dental school and then going out and practice and realizing I don't know a damn thing when all my other friends, they're killing it and I don't know anything. But then like I think a lot of my failures came into the right intention, but the wrong application almost. So like I grew up dirt poor. And when I finally had money, I was like, well, I'm supposed to invest it. And I invested, like long story short, invested in the wrong areas. I had a broker screw me over big time. I
man.
probably lost close to like probably about $1 million in just bad investments. And I took that personally. Like I invested in our real estate market here in Alberta and especially in my area, and oil crashed. And when the rest of Canada is booming, Alberta still isn't doing, like in my area, it still hasn't recovered from 2015. So
Oh,
like
geez.
my house that I bought for 450 grand 7 years ago is worth 395 now. Like, and it's like when you see people, when you see that in Toronto, like that would have quintupled by then, right? And so
Absolutely. Yeah.
I had real estate and it's all tanked. And so I've lost so much money. And I took it so personally. And I took it as if I was the failure when really it was the market and maybe I made the wrong decision. But like failure that's out of my control is not personal failure. And I actually went and
Mm.
saw, like I go to a therapist and she put it very eloquently to me. And I want to share this in case this helps anyone else, because no one talks about their failures. I was sitting beside a guy on a plane. He was telling me how rich he was. And then I asked him, tell me your one biggest failure. And he said, he lost $1,000 once. And I was like, okay, so now I know you're full of shit. Right. And so when I was talking to my therapist, she said, you know, Nekky, I want you to take a picture of those condos you bought that are now worth, 400 grand less. I want you to take a picture of that broker that, invested in all this stupid shit for you that you trusted. I want you to take a picture of that restaurant you invested in where you lost this. I want you to take a picture of this company you invested in that lost this and put it on your kitchen table and light a candle. And this is your shrine
Hmm.
and idolize it. And I was like, what the hell is this lady smoking? And I'm like, she's talking so slow. I'm like, man, I'm paying by the minute here. I just told you how much money I lost here, right? And anyways, she's just like, those are your successes. Because in 20 years, when you go to invest in something, you now have the wisdom to show yourself how silly mistakes young Nekky made and how more wise Nekky is not going to make them. And with money that could have been 100 times the amount of what I was playing with earlier, right?
Hmm.
And it almost gave me this, like, it gave me my shoulders back. Like all of a sudden I was like walking with like another inch in my step. And I was like, dude, just because I made those failures, that shit does not define me. And I know I'm not going to make those mistakes again. So now I wear those failures with a badge of honor. And I'm proud of my failures. I'm proud of sharing my failures because Jesse, if I could teach you something, it's don't make the same stupid mistakes that I did. And whether you
Hmm.
listen or not, that's up to you. But like, I think we should all be sharing our failures.
That's fantastic. That's a comment and then a meta comment. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I wish I could look at the failures, and there are many of them that I go and there's small doses of them in dental school, but I wish I could look at them in that light, even though it's like, you drilled this wrong or you didn't pass this exam. That would make everything universally just more useful, I guess. Just
Yeah.
to see them as like investing in the failure, right? And it
Yeah.
pays dividends
Yeah.
later.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think, Sanj? Do you have anything to add
Yeah,
on top
like
of
just
that?
that was great, Nekky. Like I look back at my failures and I'm so grateful for them because I learned so much from them. I couldn't
Yeah.
pay for that education. But yeah, like I failed a course in first year, had
Hmm.
to redo it over the summer. I was, held back in pre-clinic in second year and had to spend like all my free time, doing you know, extra preps on teeth. And so that got me like I felt like a failure and I felt incompetent. And that took me, I felt like that for years. And then even when things screwed up in clinic where, a filling would fall out or a patient wouldn't be happy with the crown, I was handling it all wrong. Because I'd say things like, I'm a failure. I screwed up. I can't believe I did that. And meanwhile, like that was so selfish because I wasn't thinking about the patient. Like right then, I should have said, okay, the crown fell off. What can I do for the patient? Can I fix this? Should I refer it? And then later on, I could sit there and reflect and think, okay, what went wrong with that crown? What can I do better? I'll even now, 25 years out, I'll get out my type it ons and start practicing again. I'll go to the, like dental reps and say things like, okay, this is what happened. Can you give me some help here? I'll go to the lab tech and I'll ask for help. Whereas before, I internalized the failure so much, I wasn't helping the patient and I wasn't growing because I was so stuck on
Hmm.
thinking I'm the failure. I did something wrong. So now I just
So
turn it back on. I'm not the failure. Something went wrong. I need to help the patient. Now I can, now let's see how I can be better.
I don't think that dental students for sure, but I think dentists as well. I don't think we associate like fixating on a failure as a disservice to our patients the way that you just worded. That's a very unique way of focus of articulating that basically if I'm getting this right,
Yeah.
you're diverting energy that otherwise could go to caring to a patient
Yeah,
into
exactly.
something else that actually doesn't matter and it's
Yeah.
sucking it away from, proper care. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's
That's
true. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't blame yourself. Don't be
yeah,
selfish. This is a
yeah,
moment when your patient needs you and all the focus needs to be on the patient.
that's right. That's fantastic. Okay, well, my other question ties right into this, kind of. Um, I have a lot of uh I don't want to say a lot of followers. I don't have a lot of followers, but I have a lot of people, like the majority of people that perhaps I bump shoulders with are dental students. So the majority of people in my particular sphere our dental students. That's true for both of you too, because you have a greater than average, greater than usual influence in the dental student sphere. But still, this is a question that I think can help them. Imagine that instead of talking to me right now, you were on a Zoom call with dental student version of yourself, respectively. Like if Nekky, you were just looking at dental student Nekky and through a Zoom call, and same thing, Sanj, you were looking at dental student version of
Yeah.
you. And not like the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed first day version of you, and not the about to graduate, I'm out of here. Somewhere in the middle, hitting rock bottom, it's over, I'm dropping out, or whatever the case was, version of you. Knowing what you know now and looking at that version of you through this screen, what would you tell that version of you to help them understand that it's okay? What would you say? Or that it's going to be okay?
I would say your time will come. I think we're all in a rush to be successful on day one, and we forget the best part of the process, which is the journey. And Sanj and I were talking about that before we started recording. I was like, Sanj, what motivates you to keep on? Like, she's going to Prince Rupert's and she's flying across the country. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what motivates you to do this? And she's just like, I love making the presentation. I love meeting the people. I love the whole, like, the actual presentation is 1% of it. It's the 99% of making it and learning it and being able to present it in a way and making it applicable. And it's the journey of the whole process of how to get there. And that's what fills your cup. And you'll never remember the actual achievement, because the achievement goal stick will always move, and you'll never be able to like check anything off in your life. It will always, that will always move. But going through the journey and the times when it's just absolute shit at 3 a.m. and you're studying and you order pizza and all you can do is just laugh with your friends because there's no way you can get through all this material, and your final exam is in 3 hours. Like, that is the best part of dental school. It's not, graduating. It's the times when you just throw your hands up in the air and like, this is just absolute garbage. I can't believe we have to learn all this in 3 hours. That's the best
Yeah.
part of dental school. And so
It's like,
your time will come. Success is not going to be tomorrow. Be patient and enjoy every step of the way, because it's crap in the moment, but when you look back, those are the best things in life.
it's phenomenal. I'm sure student Nekky would have really eaten that up and really,
Oh yeah,
needed to hear that.
I needed to hear. I still need to hear that, man.
You still need to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, this is recorded. You can just play this back and
Okay,
hear yourself say, just kidding.
Nice.
That's fantastic. Sanj, what do you think? What would you tell yourself? Your young
Yeah,
years?
because you are describing yourself. You're right in the middle of dental school, halfway through. So yeah, I know what you're going through. There were a lot of tears in dental school, and just like tears, there's rain, and
Mm,
it's no one likes rainy days, but what happens after the rain ends? Flowers bloom, the grass is greener. So I would tell young Sanj, like, I know it's an uphill battle, but you're gonna love it because the view from the top of that mountain is the most beautiful view you'll ever see.
mm.
And you're gonna climb higher than you ever thought you can.
Fantastic. And I mean, to say that, I'm sure you'd be like, yeah, your younger self would be, there's no way, there's no possible way, but you are testaments, you're the lived experience. You're on the other side of that
Yeah.
nonsense. And I'm not suggesting that dental school is the hardest part of being a dentist. That's definitely not the case. I know it just gets harder and harder and you adapt and adapt, but
Actually, you're right. Dental school is really bad. It's
it's a
it's the worst.
universal,
It is the
yeah,
worst.
It's a badge of honor.
that's so funny. Well, what are some other milestones to like that new grads need to look to? Because they kind of just visualize what first year looks like, second year, third year, fourth year, they're the seniors, and then maybe a GPR or especially whatever. We all know what
Yeah.
that looks like. And then I feel like we just have these blinders. Like there's just this void of whatever the heck is to come. What are the milestones? Do you like chart your 10-year anniversary? Do you kind of go based on, oh, what your milestone is when you first own a practice? What are the big like things to look for that are the huge events after you're out of the training zone?
You know what? For me, my milestones have nothing to do with clinical dentistry.
Fair
It's
enough. That's fantastic.
yeah, it's like getting my first dog.
Yeah.
It's like having my kids, like
Yeah.
paying off my student loans. That was amazing. It's
Yeah.
getting my first article published, you know, being on stage. It was so weird. I was so stressed out about clinical dentistry. And then my biggest milestone where I thought like, oh my gosh, I was born for this to happen was when I fought to keep fluoride in the water in the region of Peel.
Mm.
And I fought hard for a year and a half and no one else was backing me up. And when I gave my delegation at City Hall, 100% of the city councilors stood up in favor to keep fluoride in the water. And I thought, am I going to be like struck down like by lightning after this? Because I'm done. I achieved what I needed to do. But then like the universe kept giving me more and more challenges and more things to fight for. So that was my biggest milestone, community water fluoridation.
Cool.
Yeah,
What about you, Nekky? What would
you're
you
totally
tell?
right though. Like you'll never remember a day of work. Like I can't, I honestly, if you ask me to remember a day of work, even last week, I couldn't even tell you what I did in the morning and in the afternoon.
Mm.
Like, like you'll never remember dentistry. It's the cool parts you get to do in dentistry. I remember climbing a volcano after we just went to our first dental brigade in Guatemala. Like that's the stuff that you remember. It's
Yeah.
like backpacking through Bali when you have 2 weeks off in the summer. It's like, you know, hitting your best time in your half marathon. It's hiking this mountain. It's, you know, it's the adventures that you have and the stories that you can tell that will define who you are as a person. But like I really don't think that, you know, anyone will remember their clinical dentistry days because it's what you do with dentistry that creates the memories, not necessarily, you know, being a dentist. And like, don't get me wrong, it's fun to coach the kids in basketball and then the same kids that you were teaching them how to do a layup when they were traveling, you know, like taking 5 steps to a layup. You take out their wisdom teeth when they're
Yeah.
17 years old. It's like that shit's really cool. But like no, you're never gonna, there's no milestone within dentistry that like, you know, I feel is a personal check.
Right.
It's the cool things you get to do. It's like, you know, I've been on 15 plus dental brigades and it's like, it's really cool. I got to go to India and Ecuador and Peru and Guatemala
Yeah.
and Nicaragua. And like the list just grows. And then we got to do like drill water wells in these communities and then go back and do their dental work. That's the shit that you remember. And like the people down there like it's just the single solitary interactions that keep your mind just happy. And yeah, that's the stuff you remember. You'll never remember, like don't ever think of dentistry as, you know, a life defining goal because it's not.
Yeah. Fair enough. I appreciate that even to other people who kind of have tunnel vision. So that's really cool to hear that from both of you.
Yeah,
Fantastic. Um, let's see. There's one other thing that I was gonna mention. Now it's just totally escaping me here. Well, okay, here's a random one. Nekky, you're known as like the third molar guy, the GP who's just
I would not
so
say that.
I think I've even not even just from your own Instagram page and from your own, content, but I've just heard other dentists referred to you as something of the sort, just like the GP who's just so good at, taking out third molars and in the scope that you do practice. Um, First of all, when did that start? How did you get an interest into that specifically? Or is
I
that
don't know.
random?
Honestly, I wanted to change. I thought I could leave my mark on this profession by changing the experience and the thought of third molars. And like I said with my patient, like, you know, people used to come back from wherever and they get their
Mm,
wisdom teeth out and they come back like swollen out to here and they all they have is horror stories saying that this is the worst experience of my life. It takes
mm,
3 weeks to heal. It hurt the whole time. They're black and blue. And I'm like, why do wisdom teeth extractions have to be equal to losing a limb? Because that's how people talk about it. And it's a life defining moment. It's a coming to age moment for for a patient. Like, why
mhm.
can't we change the narrative around that? And so that's been the goal in my entire career is like, I want to change, I want to take the worst procedure in dentistry and I want to remake it and change it into the best dental experience that this patient is going to have. And I don't have my blinders on. I know taking out teeth is taking out teeth, but like, why do patients have to swell? Why can't we really focus on, being conservative with our incisions, giving the right medication, taking on the right cases? And if you're going to ask me, like, how I got to be the third molar guy, which I don't think I am, but it's case selection. It's
Yeah, fair
knowing
enough.
knowing what I can take on and what I should not be taking on, and knowing that I can provide a great experience to this subset of patients here, with this classification of teeth, and we all can. And the patients with really difficult teeth, or out of my scope, I don't take on, and that's been the key to my success. And I try to preach that to people, and people always send me like x-rays of the teeth they've taken out, and as if they're trying to impress me. And I'm like, dude, that gives me less respect for you, because I know you shouldn't be taking on those teeth. And I'm like, just because you can take on a tooth does not mean you are the person to take that tooth out. You have to think about the patient at the end of the day. So, yeah, I don't know how if you call me the third molar guy, that's very kind of you, but I really don't think so. I think there's a ton of dentists around me, including a lot of surgeons, that are much, much better than I am. I'd just like to help general dentists where no one else has helped them, and where I didn't have a mentor. I'm trying to be the mentor for a lot of other dentists, just to help us all along.
Yeah, seems like
And
a gap that
Nekky's
really has to
very
get filled.
humble
Yeah,
because
well, yeah,
his course, Third Molars Online, is the best continuing education course I've ever taken.
really.
So
So
no one can
kind.
teach third molars better than Nekky.
I mean,
That's very kind.
that's over right there. That's the award of the
Yeah,
century
true.
for, you've had your fair share of CE,
It's
I
not. It
imagine.
is not.
Exactly.
It is.
That's
Thank
fantastic.
you. Thank you. But there's lots of great dentists out there.
Yeah. Dr. Sanj, you yourself, you give CE as well on your end?
Yeah, I do. Yes.
Because I've seen a little, well, not a little bit, a lot of it, a good amount, on, through Instagram and things that you've given, but give me a quick rundown of all of the different CE that you've run,
The
from the different
topics,
involvements, the topics.
yeah. So the topic that's really fun is oral health hacks and TikTok tooth trends. I love doing that
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
I also do managing the medically compromised patient, dental sealants.
Mm.
I did one recently on restorative dentistry for
Man,
Garrison
how many
Dental.
people did you have in that
Yeah,
one?
1,500 people watched that webinar from
1,500.
across the world.
Holy,
That's
that was a
crazy.
virtual CE, or what was
Yeah, it
this?
was virtual.
Holy cow. That's
And
fantastic. How do you
Man,
manage that many people? Like, cameras on, everyone. Like, what do you, what do you do? That's so funny.
that's awesome.
Oh
yeah,
man.
Yeah,
so
no,
and
Sandra
then
writes these
public health
really
dentistry.
amazing articles for Oral Health
Yeah.
Magazine.
Yep.
Was your latest one Lead Aprons? Was that the latest
Yeah,
one?
that was last
Yeah,
month. Yeah.
I
Lead
really, I
aprons, time
really
to
like
hang it
that
up.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was great. Sanj and I debate quite a bit on volunteer dentistry, and Sanj does a ton. She goes up north,
Yeah,
and she does
I
volunteer
did.
dentistry. And like, man, Sanj is honestly, she's the educator of our country, because
Oh,
she's always doing webinars, and she travels all over. And yeah, we were just at PDC, so she speaks at a ton of conferences. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, Jesse,
oh, thank you,
Sanj
Nekky.
Sanj is the light of our career, and I was
I
so cool. I
agree.
got to introduce you at PDC last year, and I
So
said you were the light of our career during COVID, man.
thank you,
Just
Nekky.
get her
And then
autograph while you're at it.
I got to introduce Nekky
Yeah,
at the Ontario Dental Association annual spring meeting last year.
yeah, that was
Wow.
So
cool
yeah,
too.
we both got to introduce each other at different conferences.
Are
Yeah,
either of you giving any training at the spring meeting this year? Because I think it's like
not.
this next week, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
you are
this week.
Sanj. Yeah,
I'm introducing a speaker, and next year I'll be speaking at the Ontario Dental Association meeting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's so cool.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just about time almost to wrap up. I do have another question. Are both of you okay to?
Yeah,
let's
sure.
go.
Let's
Let's
do
go. Let's
it.
do it.
Will be the
Let's do
last
it.
one. Thank
Let's
you.
do it. So this is not dentistry related. We've talked a lot about dentistry. This is
Mhm.
just life related. I mean, it's,
Okay.
parallel to dentistry. But as a dentist, you have to devote so much time to what you do and who you treat, and we've talked a lot about that. But I'm just starting to see the beginnings of a life of balance. That, I mean, I thought I knew what balance was. I'm a proponent of, balancing. On my Instagram page, I say balancing ADHD, marriage, dental school, all the hats. They're not even that many hats compared to all the hats that you both wear and that I see many dentists wear. But I'm starting to see the beginning of what will be, I imagine, a lifelong battle to just make sure the balance is good and not totally out of whack, that I don't, spend every night till 11 p.m. and ignore my wife. And like there's some type of balance going on. So from you two with experience in the field, comment on what's out of the field in terms of what's at home, or how do you keep a balance going? How do you keep that life in check? I don't mean to put you on the spot and make
I
you
know
You
sound
go
Nick is
first,
laughing
Sanj.
because he
You go
doesn't
first.
believe in
No,
work-life
I
balance.
don't believe it. I
Okay.
think that's full of shit. And
Fair
when
enough. I
people
want to hear
s-
it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think when people say, work-life balance, I think you're fooling yourself, man.
fair enough.
And yeah, I think there's work-life compromise. And you're always going to spend time where you want to. You're always going to water the grass that you want to feed,
Yeah,
or sorry, water the grass you want to grow. And that's a conscious decision that you're going to make. And so I don't know. I don't have balance in my life, and yet I'm super happy. And I choose where to spend my time, and I love working. I love developing stuff, and I love, dentistry, and it does take over my life, but I'm okay with that.
fair
And
enough.
yeah,
Can I
and
just
so
quickly ask you
yeah,
then, quickly
go
as a
ahead.
follow-up, if it isn't a balance and it's more of a compromise, a work-life compromise? I can see how that works because you're just taking
Yeah.
a whole and dividing it into parts as you see fit. What's your litmus test to know that you're dividing it correctly according to what Nekky wants to do? How do you make your check? How do you check your own decision to make sure, yeah, I'm still doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and sacrificing where I should be sacrificing?
Um, I, I'm satisfied. I'm happy. Like at
Cool.
the end of the day, I'm not trying to, before I was always looking around to see if I was doing the right thing by what people thought of me. And that's like a surefire way to end up like super depressed and burnt out. And now the only person I have to answer to is myself. And just making that conscious switch. And of course, you'll always think what other people think of you. And I'm not naive, but trying to make that switch, and listening to my inner voice being like, I don't want to do this anymore. This does not speak to me anymore. I don't want to do this. And this does speak to me. And so I'm going to follow this path. And so that's my litmus test, when like I'm excited, and I'm always looking forward to the next thing. And it, it, it it's just, if it feels right, if inner Nekky is saying go this way and I'm happy with it, that's my litmus test.
Fantastic. That sounds good. All right,
Sanj,
Dr.
what do you got?
Sanj.
Sanj, we're different
Yeah,
here. We're different here. You
I wanna
go.
I wanna hear this
Yeah, I'm
work-life
just
balance
okay
expertise.
because so I don't know how to juggle. I've tried, I can't do it. I only play with one ball at a time. And so I meditate, I do yoga, so I'm extremely focused when I do something and I don't think about anything else. So as sad as it is to say, when I'm at work, I don't think about my family at all.
Mm.
But when I'm with my family, I don't think about anything else either. So that's how I balance. I'm only thinking about one thing at a time. And then you said, what's your litmus test? Your body will tell you. So
Hmm.
if you're not sleeping well, if you have tension in your shoulders, if you have shallow breathing, if you're not happy doing the things that normally make you happy, then you're off track.
Yeah.
Sanj, you're so right though. Like once you stop sleeping, that's
Yes.
like that's how you know that something isn't right. Like when you wake
Yes.
up at 3 a.m. and you're uncomfortable with something, like for instance, I'll give you an example. So before that ODA in
I
2023,
remember this last year. I was worried about you, man.
I didn't sleep at all the
The
night
whole
before.
night?
The whole night, it was horrible. I
God.
always sleep. I always go to bed at 10, wake up at 7. Like I was getting a good night's sleep. And I didn't sleep. And I was at my girlfriend's house, and she's like, why aren't you sleeping? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. And 2 days before, I got this email from this oral surgeon saying, like, what the hell are you doing? Who do you think you are? Why are you teaching? And I got in my head so bad, like, who am I? Who do I think I am? If this guy tells me, like, who the hell do you think you are? And until I went up there and spoke, and I was seeking everyone's approval, and everyone was dead silent, and I thought I totally bombed. I was walking alone outside the street, like, or outside the conference, like maybe a kilometer away, and this girl runs up to me, and she's just like, Dr. Nekky. And I was like, who? And she's like, that was the most honest like lecture I've ever had. And you taught me so much in 3 hours, and it was just the best ever. And it was almost just like the validation I needed. And it was like, so I am on the right path of trying to teach the general dentist because no one else is trying to. And the amount of comments I got after that lecture was just, it was astounding. And it was like, oh, so it almost like validated that I was going on the right path. And I almost needed that. Do you know what I mean? So I can sleep at night. Am I doing the right thing? But if you don't sleep at night, that's like, that's your inner destruction telling you right there, you're doing something wrong. Right. And so, oh, Sanj, I remember I called you and I was like, I don't know what to do, Sanj.
Like, I haven't slept.
I haven't slept. I'm gonna crack up there.
Have you seen, this is gonna be one of the last questions here, but have you both seen other dentists burn out around you, colleagues or otherwise?
Oh
Or
yeah.
yeah. And
Oh
that's a
yeah.
easy
And they have
recognizable
to,
thing.
oh, and you can see it coming. They're
Yeah.
depressed, they're not happy,
Yeah.
they're not smiling. And then all of a sudden they just have to stop everything. And they
Mm.
Yeah.
have to take a time to like reflect and say, okay, what is the thing I'm going to do? And then you're going to see major changes. Like they'll either sell their office or work less or start a hobby or move.
Yeah.
And like,
Wow.
why get to that point? You can see the warning signs before that.
Yeah. I've had a
Wow.
colleague commit suicide.
Wow.
But you generally see it through health issues. Hey, Sanj? Like you'll
Yeah,
see
it's
it
true.
like younger dentists, like 45, 50, not supposed to have heart
Exactly.
issues yet. They have heart issues. Their back
Or their
hurts.
stomach's upset,
Yeah. They have
or they have a
ulcers.
lot of shoulder pain and they'll go for chiro massage. And it's like, that's not the answer. A vacation's
Mm.
not going to help you.
No,
Taking a medication's not going to help you. You have to help yourself.
totally.
You
And
have to
like,
That's
you have to
fantastic.
see a
and what
therapist,
Sandra's
not a
saying,
chiropractor.
totally. Yeah, and what Sandra's saying, like yoga, like trying to understand and meditate. Like I don't meditate, I don't do yoga, but it works for a lot of people. But for me, I run. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
have to, if you aren't taking care of your body at any point in your career, how are you supposed to take care of someone else's?
Yeah.
Mm.
Good point.
Yeah.
Well said.
So yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. You won't see too many people that are not in good health making a long or having a long career because it's you're unable to. Dentistry's no matter how silly it sounds, dentistry is really hard on your body.
Yeah.
And I don't use loops because I never could. I just get crazy headaches. So like, and I'm 6'5", so I'm slouched over all day, right?
You're just
And
bent like a
just bent,
turtle.
just
Yeah.
bent, yeah. But whatever, it works. I don't have any problems.
That's crazy. Well, I mean, what works, right? Yoga or
Yeah.
whatever else to compensate. That's funny.
Jesse, man, let's turn this script around here. What do you find has been the biggest challenge of dental school so far? And what would you tell an incoming grad or incoming
Incoming dental
student?
student.
Yeah.
Yeah, geez. I There's been a lot of different things, and it's hard not to choose a cliche like, oh, like class twos have been the hardest thing. Because I mean, that I can tell you right now that's not necessarily true. It's going to be something more abstract, like just getting up. Actually, you know what it is? It's similar to what you mentioned about like that feeling that you're not meant to be there. That's probably what it
Yeah.
is. So there's a bunch of little acute things like, oh shoot, I'm not good at this skill or I'm not good at this test. But kind of like how you got up and had to, talk yourself into feeling that you actually belonged in that, authority role, or like that you could do that talk. I think you said
Yeah.
it was at the ODA. In that exact same light, in that exact same scenario, that I felt that a few times. Um, Sometimes like caused by something as stupid as a grade or a test. But what ensued was not just that. And it was many times, I can think of 2 or 3 occasions in first year and later on, where whatever failure turned into something that snowballed into me thinking that I actually got in by mistake. There's nothing worse, absolutely nothing worse, in my
I know what you mean.
opinion, than being in like a professional program that's centered on people, by the way. So you're trying to become something not for yourself, but for other people, future people that you're going to see. Nothing worse than pursuing that and then doubting if you actually got in for the right reasons, or if they were mistaken, or if whatever, or if you regressed since the interviews, whatever the case is. That's the
Yeah.
worst. So the hardest thing, I think, and it's a continual process, but it's been the bouts of having to re-trick myself and convince myself and affirm that I'm okay and that I actually do belong here. And I don't think I struggle with that as often as some of my peers. I think I'm probably right in the middle. I don't think I'm extra hard on myself. I think I got a good amount of optimism, I imagine. But it doesn't matter because every single student at some point feels, you know, to use a cliche, that imposter syndrome. Every single person feels that. And it's way worse than you think it feels. And I'm telling that to perhaps people who've never tried dental school, who've never gotten in yet and are about to. It humbles you. But I think that you just have to have faith in yourself. And I think you have to treat yourself like the person you're going to be on the other side of it, because it's still you. It's just not you yet, but still you. That's why my Instagram is almost Dr. Jesse, because I'm a doctor. I'm just an almost doctor, but it's still the same thing. It's just like the baby
And
version of
we still feel like we're almost doctors. I'm going to change my
right.
Instagram handle.
Yeah. So maybe I should just keep my handle like that forever. You know, but
That's what I tell anyone
that,
whenever anyone wants medication. I'm like, I'm not a real doctor, man. I don't know what any of these mean. I know what amoxicillin is, and if you either take it or leave it, because that's all I got.
Mox 500. Yeah, that's so funny. That's basically the short and simple of
If
it.
you
Is
want me,
that
if you want me to tell you
that
how I got over imposter syndrome, is because you're right. We all suffer from that shit, right?
yeah
It's you have to give yourself. And Alex Hormozy said this, and he's so smart when it comes to certain shit. And he's just like, you have to give yourself a stack of undeniable proof you are who you say you are. And if you can't,
mm,
you are not who you say you are. You are almost Dr. Jesse because you are not a dentist yet, obviously, right? But like,
mhm.
man, save those tests where you do well. It's like create a folder of all those wins, all your W's you have, create a folder. And it's the proof that you give to yourself that you are who you say you are. That's how you get
Yeah,
over imposter syndrome. Because if anyone says like you're not this, well, look at this. This is this. I deserve to be here. And that's what you need to do. Because if not, you're always going to question that. And for the people like me, when I first started teaching, I was like, of course I shouldn't be on the stage because I'm still learning myself. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So of course I'm going to have imposter syndrome. But
Yeah.
no, you will get over it for sure.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, be your own
Appreciate that
best
from you.
friend. Don't be tougher on yourself
Totally.
than your instructors are on yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We have
On you.
enough of
Yeah.
those. We have enough tough instructors. Why would I double their work? Yeah,
Yeah.
double
Yeah,
their efforts.
negative self-talk will get you nowhere,
Yeah,
man.
it'll ruin you.
You have to be your own proponent, man. You have to be the one
Yeah.
to lift yourself up sometimes, man.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree with that. I think ironically, you know, despite how often I try to tell my peers around me that same thing, just the fact that, you know, we're having this conversation and this is getting recorded, there's going to be people in my class who are closer to rock bottom than I am or somewhere down, who are going to hear what you just said and, you know, this whole interview and are going to be
Wait,
very,
this is being
very
recorded?
changed. Yeah. What? Whoops. Yeah.
What?
Uh,
I didn't consent to any of this.
and
I've never
we're
failed
doing.
before.
It's in the fine print. Yeah. Sorry. He's actually it's never happened. But yeah, you are gonna have an impact, even like whether you realize it or not, even just in my class, I can tell you right now. So I don't know if we want to kind of wrap things up on that note. I know we went a little over time, but that was
Yeah, that was
fantastic. It was
awesome,
great hearing
That was
Jesse.
awesome.
your
Yeah.
experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, dental students feel like they're at rock bottom, but you guys are climbing and
Yeah.
you're gonna hit
Give
that
yourself some
mountaintop.
grace. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
exactly.
this is the best profession in the world, and that's what you have to keep
Excellent. That's right.
saying, right? That's what that gets us through. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
So
hand it back to either of you two,
yeah,
but
thank
not
you, Jesse.
before.
You did awesome.
Thank you. Not
Yeah.
before thanking you tremendously just on everything that you do, not just in the interview now, but in the community. You're absolute leaders, and I hope you feel, if not congratulated, then just appreciated, you know, for everything that
Oh,
you do. The motivation, like you have interdentist, interprofessional influence that goes beyond just the patients that you see. So I hope you realize that. And thanks.
oh, thank you,
Thank you
Jesse. And
so
you're
much,
gonna
man.
kill it. You're killing it now. And Jesse and
Thanks.
Nekky, how can people contact you? Jesse, what's your Instagram handle?
At almost dot Jesse. Uh,
Great.
I'm
Thank you,
gonna change it
Jesse.
in a few years, but that's what it is for now. So
At Nekky,
And
he's at almost
at
Dr.
almost at
Yeah.
Dr. Dr. Nekky Jamal.
And check out his third molars online class. So thank you, Nekky. Thank you,
Thank you.
Jesse. Best of luck with dental school, Jesse. And thanks for being our
Thank you so
podcast
much.
host today. And thank you to everyone who's
Anytime.
listening.
That was awesome.
Anytime. Yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.
Okay.
See you
Bye,
later.
everyone.
Bye.
See you.
Altum Dental Lab Group and RDT Dental Lab are inviting you to their special event at the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto. It's on Thursday, June 20th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. and it's free. Learn some practice management tips, tour the Hockey Hall of Fame, and bump into some special guests. Interested in attending? Email info@approachmg.com. Thank you for listening to the New Dentist Study Club podcast. Listen to us on Spotify, watch us on YouTube, share and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram @New Dentist Study Club.